Now at 5, high school students discover their future careers at Missouri Southern's STEM Day. Plus, White Rock students learn about local business through classroom transformations. And
the White House ramps up pressure on day 3 of the government shutdown. I'm Natalie Brand with the administration's latest moves and the key test vote today on Capitol Hill.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Students get their hands dirty with real science at Missouri Southern. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Anthony Saviello. Missouri Southern State University welcomed over 200 students to their campus for a STEM Discovery Day. The purpose is to prepare and inform high school students about career fields involving science, technology, engineering, and math. Students participated in different sessions, including a forensics lab, a liquid nitrogen ice cream lab, and more.
It kind of helps, like, seeing all the different insides of body parts kind of helped to see if I'd actually be able to handle it or something in the future.
I think a lot of students don't realize how interconnected the STEM fields are, and so because you're really interested in this one area, you're probably going to have to take classes in others.
The STEM Day also included sessions about genetics, microbiology, and environmental health. White Rock Elementary students rock and roll into learning as classrooms transform into local businesses for Education Day. In McDonald County, White Rock Elementary School hosted Rock Your School Day today. Each classroom featured its own unique theme, such as a coffee shop, a flower shop, or a police station, designed to incorporate fun strategies into lesson plans. This year, the school wanted to help educate the students about local businesses and their importance.
Felt like it was something that's really relatable nowadays. It seems to be something that the kids think is trendy and fun. And I felt like there were a lot of ways that we could incorporate it, like measuring and using coffee beans for different things as manipulatives for math.
The concept of Rock Your School was introduced to the nation by Get Your Teach On. Staff members felt inspired after attending a conference to bring the day to McDonald County. The Pioneer Harvest Fiesta is celebrating its 69th year this week, bringing history to life with demonstrations of farming practices from the late 1800s to early 1900s. Visitors can see everything from a massive 1915 steam traction engine powering a threshing machine to a working sawmill cutting logs into boards to corn shellers and wagon scales once used in everyday farm life. The festival also features live music vendors and a showcase of antique tractors and hit-and-miss engines.
History books. You know, they say, well, that's all nice. I don't really understand what they're talking about. Where if they can come out here and see it actually done, you know, and get hands-on. You know, if you're young and, you know, like at least 16 or 0 years old, we'll let you climb up on that wagon and throw bundles into the threshing machine. You can actually take part in it.
Admission was only $5 per person, and children under age 12 got in for free. Well, let's go ahead and check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy.
Well, it definitely turned out to be another warm one outside for us today. Mid to upper 80s across the region. It's going to stay mild tonight. Very consistent as we go into the weekend. Warm 80s over the weekend. 80s to start the week next week. But the change is we have some rain chances and a little bit cooler as we go into next week. If you're heading out to some high school football this evening, warm games starting in the 80s. Ending into the mid 70s, but pretty much clear skies. Not a whole bunch is going on. Not a whole bunch is going to go on as we go through tonight. We slide back mid 60s to kick off your Saturday. As we go into the afternoon, consistency. 86, 87 for afternoon highs. And guess what? On Sunday, right back up into the mid 80s. We'll talk about those rain chances here in a bit.
Doug, thanks. See you soon. Well, the Senate is expected to vote again today on funding bills to reopen the government, but both Republicans and Democrats remain dug into their positions. Hanging in the balance are hundreds of thousands of federal employees who have been furloughed and threats by the Trump administration of mass firings if the shutdown continues. Natalie Brand reports from the White House.
With shutdown impacts growing each day, the White House is piling on more pressure. This morning, the head of the Office of Management and Budget, Russ Vought, announced over $2 billion in Chicago infrastructure projects have been put on hold. That comes as the administration has threatened further cuts to agencies and mass layoffs if the shutdown continues.
The Office of Management and Budget is in constant communication and contact right now with our cabinet secretaries and agencies across the board to identify, unfortunately, where layoffs have to be made and where cuts have to happen.
Senate lawmakers are taking procedural votes right now on dueling measures to fund the government.
Mr. Banks, Mr. Barrasso.
But neither is expected to move forward.
At some point, reason, good sense, common sense has to take effect here.
Republicans insist on reopening the government first before negotiating over the enhanced health care tax credits that Democrats want.
I'm confident that it is a righteous fight to keep health care premiums from going up for tens of millions of families.
Hundreds of thousands of federal employees remain in limbo, worried about missing paychecks if the shutdown drags on for many days or even weeks.
What are they going to do for groceries? What are they going to do for gasoline and those type of things? The essential things that they try to provide for the families. That's what they are concerned about.
Food banks nationwide are preparing for increased demand, especially if money runs out for federal programs like WIC and SNAP, which provide food assistance to low-income families and children. There are concerns funding could lapse if the shutdown is prolonged. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Many national parks remain open, although staffing is limited, with thousands of national park workers furloughed and some facilities shut down. The clock starts now for Oklahoma's new education leadership as they tackle one of the state's biggest challenges. Superintendent Lindell Fields and his 7-member turnaround team must transform a complex agency that impacts every Oklahoma family. Fields warns turning around this ship takes time, but promises the next 15 months will bring real change to serve students better.
Turning around a ship takes time. But in the next 15 months, we can calm the waters, rebuild trust, and lay a strong foundation for the future of Oklahoma schools.
Fields said he will not run for state superintendent in 2026. Still ahead, government shutdown blocks jobs reports. What that means for your money.
A government shutdown means no jobs report. I'm Kelly O'Grady at the New York Stock Exchange with what that missing data means.
Up first in Health Watch, though, a high school coach raises awareness after rare male breast cancer diagnosis. Topping today's Health Watch, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's a disease that strikes mainly women, but doctors say people need to understand it can also happen to men. In fact, many men are diagnosed with advanced breast cancer because there are no recommended screenings for them. Stephanie Stahl introduces us to a male breast cancer survivor getting the word out.
Juan Namnan, the baseball coach at Frankfort High School, is also a breast cancer patient.
Shock. It's hard to put in words when you hear, I'm sorry to tell you this, there's no easy way, you have cancer. I knew very little about it. It never crossed my mind.
The 47-year-old father of 3 ended up having a double mastectomy.
It was the hardest thing I ever had to do, emotionally and physically.
He says months of physical therapy were torture when simple activities were painful.
It took so much muscle mass out. Steering wheel, hold an umbrella, things of that nature. So life has been a huge challenge, but I'm on my way back.
Coach is in a rare group of about 2,800 men who are diagnosed with breast cancer each year, just 1% of all cases.
I think most men are relatively unaware that they can get breast cancer.
Virtua Health breast surgeon Lori Timmerman says men need to check themselves because there are no screening guidelines.
So usually it's a change to your breast tissue, either thickening of the nipple areolar complex, a nodule in your breast tissue or in your chest area. It's something that's there and then doesn't go away.
Coach Namnan is now taking chemotherapy drugs and relieved to be back at the ballpark.
Tell us your record.
I have had the distinction of being the quote-unquote winningest baseball coach in the history of Philadelphia with 8 championships.
The coach is also working on raising awareness about male breast cancer with a special baseball event to help crush cancer.
I'm so proud of all the work you're doing.
With his wife, his high school sweetheart, supporting his cancer fight. Stephanie Stahl, CBS News, Philadelphia.
According to the American Cancer Society, research shows that genetic variations affect breast cancer risk in different ways for men and women, suggesting the biology of breast cancer in men and women differs. The longer an immigrant lives in America, the greater their risk of developing cardiovascular disease. A John F. Kennedy University study found over time, foreign-born immigrants in the U.S. adopt the American diet and lifestyle habits, which raises the risk of heart attack, stroke, and diabetes, with the impact especially high for immigrants who have been in the U.S. for more than 15 years. Researchers say another reason for the increased risk is the lack of health care access in America. There's plenty of research on how social isolation is harmful for the elderly, but it can also be harmful to kids. A Boston Children's Hospital study found adolescents who are socially withdrawn show differences in their brain structure and face a higher risk of mental health issues. The negative impact even affected children who prefer solitude over being around others. That's a look at today's health news. A little later, with the government shutdown blocking a jobs report, the Federal Reserve is left flying blind.
Plus, our temperature is going to stay on the warm side for the weekend. We'll look at that coming up. It definitely turned out to be let's say warm/hot Friday, kind of like we've seen all week. I've always considered 90 as that hot threshold, and we've been flirting with it all week. Upper 80s for highs. Not much going on. It's been very boring weather-wise, which is very frustrating for me, probably good for you, but pretty much clear skies. Not a whole bunch is going on. Let me walk you through your weekend. We're going to drop back, let's say mid-60s, 64, 65-ish as we go into the daytime hours on Saturday. By noon, I think most of us already, again, low to mid-80s. Once we get into the afternoon, we get up there. 85 Chanute, 85 Miami, Anderson 84, Stockton, up to about 86 degrees. Heading into Saturday evening, nice and calm. Now, I guess one change, it's a little bit outside today. There's a little bit of a light southerly wind. We're going to see that again as we go into the weekend. On Sunday, we start mid-60s. By the afternoon, we get up there, 85, 86, 87 degrees. So stays very warm, very consistent. But I want you to notice some changes. You can see a little bit of rain starting to pop up north central Kansas. This is Sunday night into Monday morning. That's a cold front that's going to head toward us and at least give us some chances to get some rain. Not this weekend. 86 on Saturday. Let's go about 86, 87 on Sunday. Warm weekend, mild nights, well above average for this time of the year. We're actually looking at Pittsburgh right now. Mostly sunny skies through the evening, 80s, 70s. Eventually, we'll get back into the mid-60s, but I mean, look at this. It's 87 in Joplin, Miami, 86 in Parsons, 87 in Fort Scott. So it's warm. Here's the reason why. See this little twist here? Right in there. That is a ridge of high pressure. So, one, it blocks up the pattern. It keeps everything out toward the west, and we just sit under this little heat dome right on top of us. Very similar to, well, this part of the pattern in the summertime gave us upper 90s. By Monday, get a little Gulf moisture into the region, so chances to get a few pop-up showers and thunderstorms. We have a front sliding in on Tuesday, and with it, I do think we'll get some scattered showers, and then as it sinks south on Wednesday, Arkansas into parts of Oklahoma, we usher in a little bit cooler air, still upper 70s, but closer to where we should be for this time of the year, which is going to be nice. It's not going to be cool. It's just going to be a little bit better. All right, let's go look at the upper level flow. So our ridge, it breaks down a little bit. You see that Gulf moisture as we go all the way through the middle of next week, but still that ridge kind of stays in place through the rest of the week. So that's why our temperatures are going to be somewhat warm. And then finally, storm systems start to line up out toward the west here in about 10 days, and that will really change our pattern up across the region. 86 tomorrow, 88 on Sunday, 85 on Monday, 83 Tuesday. Then we get a couple days where we are sitting mainly into the upper 70s, kind of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, which is going to be nice, but warm weekend ahead for sure.
For sure. I think we're all ready for that point where we can walk outside and not have to worry about breaking a sweat.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Doug. Coming up, Wearable airbags scan your movement and inflate when you're about to fall. Topping today's Consumer Watch, we would typically be talking about the jobs report on the first Friday of the month, but the federal government shutdown is delaying that economic data. CBS's Kelly O'Grady explains what the information gap means.
A shuttered federal government means the Bureau of Labor Statistics did not release the September jobs report Friday, leaving a gap in the economic picture.
Without the people actually taking the information in and compiling that information, we don't have a report.
This data vacuum comes at a time of uncertainty in the economy, with rising prices and several months of downward revisions to the jobs report. A new CBS News poll shows just over half of Americans surveyed called the job market bad, a tougher assessment than 6 months ago. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell has warned of a downside risk to employment.
In the labor market, there has been a marked slowdown in both the supply of and the demand for workers, an unusual and challenging development.
The Federal Reserve could rely on other sources of information as it weighs whether to cut interest rates, like payroll giant ADP, which showed the private sector shedding 32,000 jobs last month. That includes cuts in construction and manufacturing, financial services industries, and restaurants and hotels. A prolonged government shutdown could also deprive the Fed of more key economic data in October, like the Consumer Price Index and retail spending reports.
The Federal Reserve would much prefer to rely on official government data. Without those data points, the Fed is flying blind.
The next Fed meeting wraps October 29th. If the shutdown persists, the central bank could decide it doesn't have enough information to act, or it could postpone that meeting altogether. Kelly O'Grady, CBS News, New York.
This is the first jobs report delay since the government shutdown in 2013. During the 2018-2019 partial government closure, Congress agreed to fund the Labor Department along with a handful of other agencies. Smart pants now detect when you're about to fall and puff up to break your landing. The new piece of equipment called Air Secure helps to protect people from falls. The company has built-in sensors and an airbag that scans a person's movement in real time. So when a fall is about to happen, the airbag inflates to help protect the person from impact. Once the membrane is zipped into the pants, the part that detects when you're about to fall triggers a cartridge that inflates. It fills the membrane and it wraps around on your waist, and you are cushioned when you hit the ground. A UK farm has brought a Halloween theme to its tribute to Ozzy Osbourne, using hundreds of pumpkins to make a mural to the late rock star. The team at Sunnyfields Farm in Southampton painstakingly put together the mural using 2 forklifts and a load of different colored pumpkins. The farm used a quote from Ozzy Osbourne to its Facebook post, "I can't do anything in moderation." It added, "and neither can we." Final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, a judge on Friday ordered Sean Diddy Combs to serve 50 months for 2 prostitution-related charges. That's on the CBS Evening News. Up next, then on KOAM News at 6, Porch Fest comes to Joplin this weekend. Plus, see more on White Rock Elementary students getting a taste of the outside world. And in sports, we're live at the Joplin versus Carthage football game tonight. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Should be a pretty decent night for Friday Night Lights, yeah?
Yeah, it's going to be warm. It's going to be sticky. It's not the way it should be on October 3rd. Average high is about 75 this time of the year. So we should be kicking games off into the mid-60s. Not tonight. It's going to be about 80. 86 tomorrow, 86 on Sunday. So it stays warm through the weekend.
Yeah, we're going to be ready for that cool down when it comes. All right, thanks, Doug. Thanks for joining us. We're right back here at 6 after the CBS Evening News. Have a great night.